Hello, in this video, we're going to go over the adaptive immune system. So in a previous video, we went over the innate immune system, which is the non-specific part of your immune system, where if you are exposed to a bacteria or virus, your immune system is able to get rid of it non-specifically. So your body basically just knows that there's something foreign and gets rid of it. Now, if the infection continues, then your adaptive immune system kicks in, and the adaptive immune system is extremely specific, meaning that we are going to be targeting a specific virus or bacteria, typically the one that is causing the infection at the time. And what's nice about the adaptive immune system is that when you get exposed another time, later, to that same bacteria or virus, your immune system has what we call immune memory, and your body basically remembers, hey, I remember being sick with this virus a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple years ago, and your body is already equipped to attack that same virus. And so the adaptive immune system is a really powerful part of your immune system. There are two main cells that govern the adaptive immune system. We call them the B cells and the T cells. Now, what is immunity? Immunity is your body's ability to identify and destroy a specific type of foreign substance or pathogen. So, what that means is your immune system has already been trained and knows and recognizes, hey, this is a virus, this is a bacteria, I already know how to kill it. And immunity is really important because if your immune system is already trained on how to fight a specific pathogen, you will not get sick, or maybe you'll get sick, but it's going to be a much shorter, illness. So there's two types of immunity: humoral immunity, which is caused by antibodies. We'll talk about what antibodies are in a second, but antibodies are made by the B cells. And then the other type of immunity is called cell-mediated immunity. This is immunity governed by your white blood cells, primarily your T cells. And what they're going to be doing is actually attacking any cells that have been infected. So here is a cell that is infected with a virus. Your T cell can attack it to get rid of the entire thing. There are other T cells in your body that are what I call the cheerleaders, and instead they are going to activate other white blood cells during an infection. So rather than them doing the killing, they're just kind of activating other cells to do it. So let's talk about antibodies. Antibodies, again, are very specific. They are proteins made by our immune system. Their other name, by the way, is immunoglobulins, and they bind to specific parts of a pathogen or foreign substance. So here is a bacteria. Bacteria have tons of different proteins on their surface, and these are called antigens because the antibody binds to those antigens. And notice that you can have different antibodies that bind to different antigens, but they are very specific. And the specificity is based on the shape. So antigens, antibodies. Here's a picture of an antibody. They have this region called the variable region, which contains the antigen binding site, and it has a very specific shape that allows it to only bind to a very specific antigen. And our immune system makes hundreds of different types of antibodies for different targets. So you can have an antibody that targets the flu virus, another antibody that targets E. coli, another antibody set of antibodies that targets different types of viruses and bacteria that you've been exposed to throughout your life. Now, why are antibodies so amazing? Because they do a lot for our immune system and helps us kind of fight infections in an extremely effective way. So one of the main things that antibodies do is they neutralize the pathogen. So when an antibody binds to the bacteria or virus, it basically prevents them from causing infection. So here's a bacteria where the flagella is covered in these antibodies. Now the bacteria is incapable of swimming, and it's much easier for us to get rid of it. Or a virus, now it is completely surrounded by antibodies. That virus is now incapable of getting into the cells and causing infection. There are also some antibodies that we consider antitoxins because they actually bind to toxins rather than an entire virus or bacteria. So here, this antibody binds to the diphtheria toxin, so it is called an antitoxin, and it prevents the toxin from causing any harm. And then finally, there is also opsonization, which is funny because I always think of this word as optimization, because that is basically what they do. So in opsonization, when an antibody binds to a bacteria or virus, it increases the likelihood or optimizes the likelihood of phagocytosis. And again, the reason why is because this pathogen is now covered in these antibodies. It makes it easier for the macrophage or other white blood cells to actually grab it and get rid of it through phagocytosis. And so antibodies are, again, one way to acquire immunity, and then the other way is, of course, through cell-mediated immunity. Now, how can we acquire immunity? There's four main ways, and so in this table, it kind of breaks it down. So there is passive immunity and active. Passive means that you are just receiving antibodies from somebody else. And there's the natural way of doing this, which is when you receive antibodies from your mother through the placenta or through breast milk. So babies basically receive a nice dose of antibodies from their mother, and this protects them temporarily. There's also artificial acquired passive immunity, where a person can just acquire antibodies from another through kind of a plasma transfusion. We're just giving people antibodies. Okay. And then there's active immunity. Active means that you yourself are making your own antibodies. And so there's the natural way where you get sick and then you recover and your body makes antibodies. That's just the normal way of doing it. But then of course there is the artificial way, which is essentially a vaccine. So when we vaccinate a person, we are artificially introducing their body to the pathogen, and typically we give them a weakened version or even just a part of the pathogen. So instead of the entire virus, just a piece of the virus, and then their immune system recognizes it as foreign and starts to produce antibodies against it. So it is still active because you are making your own antibodies, but it is artificial because you've been exposed artificially. And so those are the different ways that we can acquire immunity. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.